Welcome to this presentation. Sarah here. I want to thank you so much for reaching this level. I know it isn't easy and you deserve a big up. You've learned quite a lot, and I want to say that as I've gone through your work, you are on the right track, and I've received good essays from you, and you've learned how to paraphrase so well. So give yourself a big up. You are much ahead of so many people, and into the career of academic writing, you are much a step higher. So you deserve a big up. So today we are going to learn about referencing. To capture that well. Referencing. Okay. Referencing. Wow. In my previous video, I mentioned something about referencing, and to believe. Okay, let me ask a question. What's referencing? Tell me, what's referencing? Wow, if you just say that an academic paper requires a reference, then give yourself a big up. Wow. Each academic paper, an essay, a term paper, we shall look at all of them, an essay, a term paper, a lab report, a thesis, a dissertation, a proposal, all of them, they require references, and that's why I came up with this topic, referencing. So in this video we are going to talk about referencing, and specifically we are going to talk about in-text citation and bibliography. Now there are different types of referencing styles, and we shall look at them bit by bit. For this presentation I'm giving an overview, but starting from my next video, I'll be presenting one referencing style at a time, and then we shall do also the type of papers, and then we shall be able to go through the issue of accounts. You need a writing account, don't you? You want to make money. I said you'll make lots of money from this skill that you're learning. So that's why I'm commending you for your effort, and it's gonna change your life, believe me. Okay, so let's go. We have in-text citation. In-text citation. Did I get that right? In-text citation and bibliography. And I've said I am not going into types of referencing, because I'm going to cover them in my next video. So just relax and breathe in, take a deep breath. One. Wow, you're good to go. So in-text citation, in any academic paper, we use ideas of other authors, we use books, we use journals, and let me note that down. We use books, we use journals, journal paper, journal articles, let me say journal articles, and we rarely use newspaper on a rare occasion. That is if you're doing an English paper, you'll find yourself citing newspaper videos and all that. But we cite some theses, and they must be published thesis, and if they are articles, there must be scholarly articles. It means these are articles that have been researched by some scholars, and they have been published in a certain journal, reputable journal, and it therefore follows that you're not supposed to use blogs. You're not supposed to, because blogs they're not acknowledged in the academic world because they represent someone's opinion, yeah, and this opinion hasn't been vetted by a body of academic scholars. That's why you need to limit yourself to books, journal articles, and thesis, and once in a while video if the author is an academician. That's okay. So when you're writing your paper, your thesis, even thesis, your essay, or whatever paper you're working on, you will find yourself borrowing some ideas from an author, yeah? You must acknowledge that idea in your paper, yeah? So there are two ways of doing it. You will acknowledge it inside the paper. That's what we call in-text citation. So I'll borrow a body of text. Let's say we've written a text, and I want to paste this in my space to form something like a paragraph, just for illustration. So let's say you've borrowed. I want to use the topic that we had before, that is the effect of globalization. Allow me to use it for illustration. Globalization. And then let's say we have one author. We've borrowed some text from an author called Smith, John Smith. And okay, let's say the author is John Smith. Okay, did I get that right? Yes, I did. John Smith is the author. Let me just do this. Let me write author. Author is John Smith. Wow. And the title of this journal article is trends in globalization trends. Let's say so. It's just for illustration. Globalization trends. Did I get that right? Globalization trends. And and the publication, let's say it's a book. It has been published it's been published by a publishing company, let's say in New York, and the publisher is let's say Willie and Sons. Publishers. This is just for illustration. You won't find this reference anywhere. Yeah, you won't find this reference anywhere. I just had to come up with something for illustration and to help you understand. So now this is an information that it's not. This is just. This is information about the author, and you're getting quite an amount of information from this book by John Smith. So what you're going to do, allow me to highlight this by like that, meaning we shall remove it from our work. So now when you're developing your paper, you may use words like research shows that Smith, let's say the publication year was 2009, argued that globalization is a recent trend and that it does influence many companies. Wow, that's a good thing. I just want to, let me organize it into a paragraph. I hope you don't mind. I know the wording, the other wording, the book, the journal, they don't make sense if I put them in a paragraph, but you understand what I mean. So what you see here, research shows that Smith 209 argue that globalization is a recent trend and that it does influence many companies. It means you borrowed the whole of this statement, the statement highlighted in which color? Let me use in blue. These are words that you got from Smith, yeah, and therefore you are acknowledging that Smith actually gave this contribution, yeah, and that you are acknowledging that you have used some words from Smith's work, and that's now that's what is called academic decency. You got to be decent. You got to acknowledge the views of other people. Yeah, this is an acceptable way of doing things. So this is what is called in-text citation. Now, after doing in-text citation, you will continue. Okay, you'll continue each and every thought that you borrow from any author. Cite it. Yeah, James 209, Farrell 203, and all of them, cite them. There's another way of also citing them. The same reference, instead of saying research shows that Smith argue that globalization is a recent trend, the other way of doing it, you could say that you could just start by saying globalization. Globalization, remember this is an idea by Smith. We took this from Smith's work. Globalization is a recent trend, and it influences many companies. And then what we do here is that we say Smith 2009. This is another way of doing the in-text citation. It's acceptable. You have acknowledged that this is not your work. You've borrowed this from Smith, and you've acknowledged it. This is acceptable. So one thing that you note is that when we are citing, we are using the surname. We are not using the first name. We are using the surname. Now, for the bibliography, in the same sense, and just for illustration, in this presentation, I'm borrowing some stuff or some information from APA, that's American Psychology Association. I'm borrowing some information from APA referencing style, and you will see it because our next presentation is about APA referencing style. So now for bibliography, sometimes it's called reference. You just say reference or bibliography. Yeah. Some citation requires you to say reference, some requires you to say a bibliography, some requires you to say work cited depending on the referencing style. So for APA you'll say reference, reference, and you are going to center the title, and how you will present it is that you must start with the surname, which is Smith, and then the second name you put an initial, then you say the year. We say the year is 2009, and then you say the title, which is globalization trends. Globalization trends, New York. That's now the details of the publisher. Willie and Sons publishers. Willie and Son, let's just say publishers. because that's how they represent themselves. And you remember that the title must do what? Must be underlined, must be in italics. Now look at that. You've written your paper, you've done the in-text citation, and it has a reference. That's now a complete paper. This is a very, very important thing in academic writing and in your career as academic writer, because if you don't have legitimate references, they are going to accuse you for academic dishonesty. Yeah? And if you write a paper that doesn't have references, it won't go through. You'll have lots of revisions. I'll talk about these things at a later stage about revisions and all the other things that academic writers deal with in the profession. But at this level, you go to understand that reference is important. You go to understand in-text citation. You go to understand how to do a bibliography. And as I'm going to share, as I'm going to have videos on each and every referencing style. We have APA, we have MLA, maybe we have APA, we have MLA. Oh, I need to catch that. My screen doesn't want to catch that. What's happening? APA, MLA, we have Harvard. I don't want it in caps. We have Harvard, we have Oxford. We have IEEE, and we have Vancouver. We have, we have Turabian stroke Chicago. Did I leave any out Chicago? But I want you to know that that you need to understand the basic. These are basic, yeah? These are basic. Currently, each university is coming up with its own referencing style, but the referencing style, they just rotate around all this. So once you've mastered all this, which we are going to cover in our upcoming videos, you'll be good to go. So relax. Well, so I think we've covered a bit. In our today's presentation, I have a skill development. I don't want to call it a problem because one of my students wrote to me saying that when I say a problem, it brings anxiety. So skill development, that's better because you're developing the skill, and it's about referencing again in your work that you developed. That you worked on an essay. While you are working on an essay, there are some sources that you borrowed. There's some pieces of sentences that you borrowed from specific authors. So I want you to go to your essay. So go to your essay and include an in-text citation. An in-text citation and a reference and a bibliography. Now you understand what bibliography is. Yeah, you understand the jargon and a bibliography. And you'll send it to my email. And for the sake of those who don't know my email is you drop your work in my email so I may be able to go through it. Okay, I think we've covered quite a bit, and I would like to end this presentation here. I'd like to thank you so much for coming this far. You've really done well. You've gone a step or a notch higher into learning academic writing. So I commend you, and I encourage you to keep up. and I want you to know that you're on the right track. So continue doing what you're doing. I'd like to end this presentation. Let's meet in our next video. Until next time, bye bye.